Rajkumar Rao, for example, like, you know, I think he gets into the character detail from the day one of the script or something. So there are discussions when you're going on with the director and actor, and he comes up with very cool ideas. Writer is only judged when the film comes out. But the first person who is judged is the poster or the small teaser which comes up where you're seeing the actor, what clothes they're wearing, what they're looking like. From a male actor saying that, can you add a little more volume on my bum? Get me some bum pads. Like,
Which film?
How to name the film?
Hi, welcome to the Film Recipe. My name is Pankaj Madaan and you're watching Between the Curtain. In all the episodes of Film Recipe, we talk about how filmmaking is a collaborative art form where different departments come together to make a film. And one such department is costume design. And the interesting thing is that the impact of costume design is not just limited to films. It has a cultural significance. The clothes that we wear, the clothing choices that we make, they are all inspired from the films we watch. And our today's guest is someone who might already be in your wardrobe. He has designed costumes for films like Animal, Pushpa, Gangubai, Sitaraman, and many, many more. So please welcome Mr. Sheetal Iqbal Sharma. So I want to understand what's the story behind your name, Sheetal Iqbal Sharma. It's a unique name.
So technically, I think my parents were very creative in their own way.
Okay.
Being my dad from army and my mom being a housewife, I think I would say that they collaborated these names in a way because my elder sister's name is Ritu, my brother's name is Pawan, and my name is Sheetal. So if you understand the flow of it, like जब ऋतु बदलती है तब हवा चलती है, जब हवा चलती है ठंड लगती है, तो it was kept that way.
Okay.
So I don't think they ever thought about it's a boy or a girl, but they just named Sheetal. I think that's.
And what about Iqbal?
Iqbal is my dad's name. If you go to Punjab, a lot of Sardars and Punjabis, they have the name called Iqbal. So it's my dad, and I love to use it as completely
middle name.
It's a middle name. His dad's name is always used in India as a middle name. Okay. So I use it because it just feels so good. Sheetal Iqbal Sharma sounds very powerful.
Yeah, right. Tell us your process of costume designing. Like, how do you prepare costume for each character?
We are very closely working with the director. I would always prefer having my first-hand discussions only with the director. Like there are times where the actors are briefing you, or the actors would want, I'm thinking this would look good on me, or this would go best on me. But I wouldn't say I'll ignore it, because some of the actors generally come with because they're reading the script, they're living with the script. So they also have some very cool inputs, but there are sometimes the actors come with some very baseless things of, you can make me wear this, but avoid a pink color, it doesn't suit me.
So you'll have to also tell us, कौन से actor अच्छे suggestions के साथ आते हैं, कौन से actor bad suggestions.
That I would not pick the names of the actors.
अच्छे suggestions?
अच्छे suggestions, there are many. Rajkumar Rao, for example, I think he gets into the character detail from the day one of the script or something. And he marks and he comes with some. So there are discussions when you're going on with the director and the actor, and he comes with some very cool ideas.
I think there are two films. One is Manto and Gangubai. दोनों में ही brothel दिखाए गए हैं. Manto में they're more authentic to the characters, whereas Gangubai में it is more of a glamorized version. So how did you manage to show brothels in two different setups altogether?
So see now again. At one hand, you have this powerful director called Nandita Das. Yeah. And on the other hand, you have aesthetically powerful character Sanjila Bhansali is a brand name for making aesthetic films. So again, with Nandita, it was all about how a character would be organic to the reality of what a Manto's thought process would be. And at the same time, when you're working with Bhansali, there was a thought process of, I wouldn't call it glamorizing, but something which looks more beautiful, because in the end, his films are watched by the families and by every generation because they want to watch in Sanjila Bhansali for the aesthetics and beauty. So me as a costume designer, I had to very well kind of make it sure that, that when I'm working with Nandita Das, I'm going to the more reality phase of picking up things, the elements which belong to the 40s and the world of Manto, his thought perspective, because even Manto as a writer was going through a lot of angst of society and development. So we had to kind of get that idea also, where if you see the film, there's a flow of character from a very progressive writer getting into the darks, getting into post-partition trauma, getting into a mental asylum. So there is a progression in the clothes, of a nice neat shirt or a nice neat white kurta going into like a very dull, little tarty, little more like unkept, like, so that process was there in the costume you watch. But and I feel that if you neglect it, that if you don't notice it, I think that's a job better done. Like I feel then it goes in the flow.
Exactly.
So for me, it is like, okay, you didn't notice clothes and it's a character. Then it's like, oh, that is accomplished. Whereas in Sanjila Bhansali's film, like, where every character has a backstory or has some kind of a trauma. If all his films have like a character who is disturbed or has a trauma for certain things which have made them go through something. Like even in Gangu, when I was working on, it's a girl who's from a happy background being sold into the brothel to becoming like the one of them and becoming a better version and becoming a madam and getting into politics.
Yeah.
So there was a progression again in this character also, but I had to completely think from Mr. Bhansali's process of how he always makes his character look from beauty to the most beautiful, like, so there's a growth. It's always like, I would say like, Gangu was a character who is shown like, like it's a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Like.
So अभी आपने एक फिल्म करी है विकी कौशल के साथ छावा, and there's a periodic film. So how different is it to design costume for a periodic film as compared to a film like Animal?
There's a lot of difference because Vicky Kaushal playing as a king and such a responsible king, because he's not a fictional king. There was a legend, a king who lived. When I was researching, I went to all these places called Evla and some small towns in Aurangabad, some very small towns in Pune, Nasik, like whenever you're meeting people of that land and historians who have researched, who have given almost like, they've done PhDs on Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj and Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. They've done PhDs. So I was like, it's such a responsibility that you never thought that, okay, that I'm thinking that, okay, like it's a king. So I'm thinking, okay, like, there'll be a nice crown or a turban and he has to dress up well. But when you get into these details, you start understanding that, okay, he was a king for the people. Like it, and it's not that it is some 9th century. It's early, like it's late 1600s, early 1700s. So where I'm like, but of course, there are no photographic references, but you have to then take their advices. So how to take that and make it look grand and still connect to the audience was like a task. And without any photographic references, we were looking into drawings and paintings of people's interpretation for Shivaji Maharaj and Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, and we were trying to make the things look as accurate to the paintings. Now when it comes to Animal, where I'm doing a film which is a modern day urban film, talking about a father-son relationship and how everything is like, has to look grand because you're talking about rich class of Delhi where, like, they're traveling their chartered planes and all. So of course there is a liberty where I can show that extravagance of a rich exuberant Delhi classy family, like, which has I would call it the difference of old money and new money. Like, so when you talk about kings and all, it's all about the grandeur of old money and culture. Now again, when you're talking about Animal, they're talking about old money, which has been shown, like, that they're classy people who've been living, like, for years, and they're how to develop that and without making it look cheap or, or look wannabe, like, where things are looking like it's been forcefully put on. So I think that's where costumes, as I said, again, costumes plays an important part to show the diversion of, class barriers or even cultures, like, so.
Okay, so in like what I understand is when you are doing a periodic film, a lot of research is required for that. And Animal, may you have much more
Animal, because it's a current day film, so I can still look into, like, a current fashion or a current style, or even look into classic fashions of a double, like, breasted suits or a nice two-vent collar jackets and all. Like, there are different variations of, like, showing like a good masculine fashion, from whether in a classy way or whether more trendy way.
Do you usually go with the existing trend, or do you like prefer creating a trend through your costumes?
See, now while you're doing a modern day film, like, I would a lot of the times I'll rely on something which is called color paletting. Also, color paletting is a very important part in any filmmaking. But when a modern day film where I would say, like, getting clothes from like off rack or getting things made for an actor, like, through their style or something, of course I would look into the existing trends. But I also there's a very interesting thing called the fashion forecasting. Like, in my college, I've studied that, so I had always in my mind, like, so I always use that term to throw on people, which just looks, which sounds, your job. So we always get into these sites to look into, like, where there are like thorough research based things mentioned about the fashion of coming times, like, right now if you're in 2025, so what will be fashion in 2027 or fashion in 2028. So there are people, there are researchers who are doing research and, like, putting things together. I like to focus on the sites to just get some idea, because see, what I always prefer to do is, like, when you're doing a film, I would not like to go and pick things from a brand or a you get into a designer store and pick things, because what happens, like, I'm working on a film right now, but my film might release in 2026 or 2027.
3 years, yeah.
And what you realize, like, you're sitting with your friends or cousins, I have the same jacket, I have the same shoes, I have the same pendant. So that makes me feel, okay, like, this is something which is done or seen, like, it is nothing new what you're doing. So there where the fashion forecasting sites have always helped me to kind of see, okay, like, so if I know that I'm working on a film like Animal, which will be shot for a good 1.5-2 years, so we were always thinking like, the colors which will come in the trend, like, if a royal blue or a deep maroon, or like how monotone colors are coming in trend or something. So we were trying to do these in Animal. If you see, we'll see like a lot of color palette of a grey with a lot of variations of greys. If it's a blue, with a lot of variations blue. Even with Ranveer's clothes, we did that. With the jacket, shirt and pant are always of the same color, like, not a mixed match or not a broken suit. So these were, like, these are coming trends we were reading and thinking, like, in a way. So we try to do, when I'm doing a modern film, I try to do these kind of, like, little, like, what you study which stays with you, you try to inculcate in your project. So that's what I follow generally.
So what's the difference between costume designing and styling? You were talking about styling is like getting off the rack things.
See, now what styling, I would say, like, it's a very a job with a lot of understanding. I never call myself as one of the best stylists, because I feel styling is all about understanding bodies, understanding what color or what thing will suit a actor or even a character. Like, I wouldn't say like stylist jobs are easy, because at the same time, it's, as I mentioned, it's about a script. What you read the script or we get through that. Now, styling job is where I can just go into like some brands or go to a nice existing fashion designer brand where I pick stuff from like big names like Sabyasachi Mukherjee or JJ Valaya, and I get their stuff and put on an actor and make the frame look beautiful.
Okay.
But costume designing is something which I would make something from scratch. Like, I would get something, put something together in a very interesting way, from fabric to the embroidery to the detail, what I have to put, and make it the way I want it. Like, so I'm not involving various designers.
That is not available there in the market.
Or from the brands. I'm picking the fabric, I'm making things through the scratch and making it for the existing character. So I always find that as beautiful, because then, as I mentioned, there's nothing what is on the shelf or on the rack which has been worn and used by different people. It's exclusively made for that character and it stays.
So when a director comes to you, like, do they have this clarity कि यार इसमें I want a costume design, like I want everything to be new, या फिर you give this advice to the director कि यार we can go with the styling as well, we can take off the rack things and we can just decorate our characters with that.
When we're doing, again, like, the films are in such a way, like, when you read, you understand, okay, like, there's something which can be like a very normal guy from today's world. If I want to make like a nice, a simple middle class family guy or a slightly higher middle class family guy, how I can put, or the mother characters in the film, father, everyone, like, how I can make them look day to day, so that when audiences watch it, they shouldn't feel, oh, this father looks too much, like, for a middle class family. Or then, of course, I will rely on brands and styles and small shops. Like, I've even gone to stations to pick, like, those, like Goregaon station or Andheri station, to pick, like, those things which are sold on the roadside, like, because there are sometimes very interesting looking shirts which I can just, change the collars and put some detail and add on a character, like, to make it look more interesting. Like, so I wouldn't limit myself to, like, just say that, depending on the film, like, but as a costume designer, which I really enjoy, I would suggest that I'll make something for the character, like, sometimes also there's also like always a debate about this thing, like, because sometimes the actors would be like, "Arey, why are you wasting time in like making this thing?
Creating
because
from the
you'll
scratch.
be doing fittings with me, you'll be trying things on me again to get the right fit and all. Rather, you have my size, go and get from so and so brand, or go and get, okay, I have this so and so designer, call this person, you'll get a nice bridal wear.
Right.
Okay." So I just feel that where you're limiting myself there, because I can create a beautiful bridal wear.
But it is also not advantageous for the actors, no? Like if they are also getting the same clothes that is out there in the market, I can buy or anybody can buy. So how are they gonna stand out in those clothes?
I just feel it's a matter of ease, or it's a matter of comfort. Like, because if I am going to make things out of scratch, so of course I would be calling an actor to do multiple trials and fittings. Because I wanted to be,
they want to avoid that sometimes.
So I wouldn't call avoid that, but also like it's like a process, because if it's a fitting of like a kurta, so it has to be in a certain way or shape or something like that, like and when you're making things from scratch, so I'll have to at least meet an actor at least twice to like once to do a basic fitting, once to do a full fledged. So it's, I wouldn't call waste of time, but somewhere it is waste of time for them, because everybody is so busy and also.
Exactly.
So there they prefer that, okay, you go to so and so brand and pick something and put on me. Why are you wasting your time in like making things from scratch? But I would still, in many times I've done that, like where I would.
That's the joy of the job.
Yeah, like it's a joy of being a costume designer, of like making things, making ghagras with embroidery, making a nice achkan or a bandgala from scratch for an actor.
So tell us some films jahan pe like costume styling has been done instead of costume designing.
See, I would there are a lot of these amazing looking films. Yeah, like I personally love how Anaita Shroff, she's one of the best stylists of Indian cinema. She also like one of the most iconic fashion like images that we can say. Like, so she has done some amazing films like Dhoom or Cocktail or Tashan, like where things have been styled and put on the actors in such beautiful way that they've become like iconic forever. Like they are like basically like poster image. Like I forgot the character name of Cocktail, or how Deepika Padukone was made to look. Like I think that I forgot the name, but Veronica. Like it
right.
became like a thing.
Veronica,
like like any girl who's dressed like beautifully with like some very cool clothes.
Independent woman.
People would call it like, oh, you dress like Veronica from Cocktail. It's still like the thing. So I just feel that styling again comes with a lot of like a scope to create a statement. How you put it together. Not everybody can be a good stylist.
Exactly.
But and then when you come to costume designing, look at all Sanjay Leela Bhansali films. Like all the films are like made to look like that. It's made to order, made to cut, made to look into those details. Those ghagras, what beautiful actors are wearing, are made with those details for that scene, for that dance. I think so. You can see, like, I wouldn't call like styling as an easy job. Even that can create a statement. But at the same time, when it comes to designing, see, look at this like Padmavat or Devdas, or like where everything is like exuberant and you see the culture, and you see the style, and everything is made to look beautiful, like in a way.
Okay. So like in films like Sita Raman, you did Sita Raman as well. The sari and everything, that was also costume design and not the styling.
Yeah.
Right. So nowadays, like after watching a film, there are shops in Delhi. I'm sure you must be aware of Sarojini Market and all, Chandni Chowk. They are recreating all those things. So don't you guys have copyright on these things, or like how does it work out?
Yeah, I would say that. See, I'm not a brand or a fashion designer, so like so I've kept I'm in a public domain. Like when I'm working for film industry and I'm a costume designer only, I'm not taking up my costumes that I make from my brand, or like I'm pushing that is a Sheetal Sharma creation. Something. I'm not doing that at all. So for me, it is what I really feel great about, like if your clothes get copied. I feel it's like an achievement to me, like of course.
So you don't capitalize on that. Like
I as a costume designer would not capitalize it because I don't have a brand. So like a lot of time I have been suggested by the directors and producers, you made such beautiful clothes.
Exactly.
Why don't you open a brand and like put these clothes through your brand and all these things but I feel that right now I'm working in the industry where I'm getting to experiment, I'm getting to work on some very interesting scripts. So I want to like make things and only focus on that, where I'm making something with a character. Now something clicks out of it and becomes like a statement, or like becomes like, oh, like people are buying it or copying it or something. I feel proud about it because like for example, I would just say like a very small thing, like it isn't small, but while working on Gangubai when it released and all, it became such a statement, that red flower, the sunglasses and that purse, that there was a fashion show in Thailand where the entire show was dedicated on the white and the rose and of Gangubai. Like
theme of Gangubai.
There's an entire fashion show. If you go on Google and you check, there's a fashion show in Thailand theme based on Gangubai. Like, literally.
That must be a proud moment for you, yeah.
You just feel, and I'm getting like everything where it's tagged on my name. Oh, like, this is your film, your costume inspired from your costume. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Then again, it happens Sita Ramam, where like, those very European cut blouses with collars and all, which is very European, very fashion from like Renaissance fashion or like where so that kind of details we just made on sari blouses, which became such a statement where they call like it's like one of the best stylized films of Telugu film, like so, or best designed films. So that helped, like in a way you feel proud about all these things, like that okay, there's something which became massy.
Right. So despite of the fact that costume designing has such a cultural significance in our lives, like we were discussing this, the clothes that we wear, they're all derived from some of the films that we have watched. Despite that, I think costume design is such an underrated profession.
I personally feel that a lot of importance is given to the actors in the industry, like the stars, or like a launch or a star or a star kid, like is doing so and so director's film or doing so and so production film or something. It's always that way. When you're a star, of course there are millions of people looking at you and they want to see. Now you as a department, I would feel if a film looks good, it's an achievement for me, because 100,000 crores of people go to watch a good-looking film. I am a department in that good-looking film because I've given the actors look certain way, like the way they're looking.
Exactly.
But at the same time, when those films become big, what you mentioned was, the most neglected departments are like the sound, art, or costumes, because they are like, okay, like nobody knows about what a sound designer. It's called like a sound designer, like
exactly.
But like the layman doesn't know. I feel what you or a lot of podcasters are doing, that you're getting these technicians to make them understand the audiences, to understand, okay, like a sound designer can rectify a voice or a dialogue delivery of an actor to make it
the emotion that we
most
feel
impactful, and like put it across.
Exactly.
Or the same way the art, like if till that time I'm not sure, like when my film trailer comes or a poster comes, the actor is not aware of the story of the film, so the writer is only judged when the film comes out. But the first person who is judged is the poster or the small teaser which comes up where you're seeing the actor, what clothes they're wearing, what they're looking like, hair, makeup, wardrobe is come in place, what the background is looking like,
the world that you're creating,
the world what you're creating, what chair that person is sitting on, or is it shown a jungle. So so I think somewhere these are the most important thing. For the first look of the film when it comes out, these are the only 3-4 things which people notice. And then judge, okay, this film I want to watch, this looks very interesting, oh my god, this looks so cool. I think so somewhere we just feel that we are also, like as a costume, I feel that we are neglected, because it's all about like this directed by so and so person, production by so and so person, produced by so and so person, so and so actor is there in the film. But we are like, okay, like films comes out, some films do bad, some films do extremely good, and then when it does good, then all the departments are like put in the limelight. If it's not done.
So is it the same internationally as well, like in Hollywood and different film industry around the world?
I feel that I have 1-2 friends who are from the Hollywood industry, and they say that, okay, the pay thing is the same, because not same exactly, but of course they are paid better, but of course
in the hierarchy they are the
same, like how we are here in the industry. The hair, makeup, wardrobe departments are always the lowest, or the sideline departments or something like that. But of course their films have such huge scale that they make things like they start their pre-production and all like 2 years in advance and all, like before the film goes on the floor. So there are a lot of things, advantages, there are a lot of like flow and publicity what even the productions put there to make their technicians come forward to speak. There are like technically, like there are, which I wasn't aware, but this friend of mine from Hollywood, she says they have proper costume what you call associations, Like, where they come, they sit together. They have unions where they come, sit together, discuss about each other's work, and they get inspired from each other's work. They have, so these kind of things we are still very backward about, like, to have or form.
Okay, so now it's time for the rapid fire. I'll ask you a few questions and you'll have to answer without thinking.
Okay. I'll try. Yeah.
So one thing about your profession that nobody knows.
How the actors can have worst of the tantrums.
Okay. And one film you watched, one film of some other director or some other costume designer that you have watched and thought that you could have done a better job?
I wouldn't, but there are many films where you watch and I wouldn't, how do I name this film? But like, yeah, I would avoid this.
You would avoid
because yeah, I don't have any enemies in my, because I see films and I feel that, okay, oh shit, I could have done
That's
this.
That's okay, you can do that, no?
Yeah, I won't take the name, but like, yeah.
You can tell the film, don't take the name of the costume designer.
When you name the film, you know the costume designer of the film. No? I'll actually avoid that because we are from the same small industry. Yeah. Everybody knows each other. Yeah.
Okay. So the work of yours that you're most proud of?
I personally feel two films, Manto and Miss Lovely.
You're proud of?
Yeah, very proud of.
You won a Filmfare for Manto.
For Manto, yeah.
That's good. Costume that took the longest to create?
Longest to create would be recently I would call Chhaava, because we did some good 6-7 months of prep, and then we did look tests with each and every character to form that look, what they have to wear, the turbans, what kind of beard. So that was like a...
So Vicky Kaushal's characters
costume
or everybody's character?
The entire film, we took good 7-8 months to prep that film.
Ah, okay.
And then we went on the floor.
So what is more fun, designing authentic costumes or glamorized costumes?
More fun is making authentic costumes, because for me, making authentic costumes is like something which people watch on day-to-day life and they relate to it. Ye to mere jaisa hai. That makes you feel, very cool and connected, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So if you can swap your wardrobe with someone, who would that be? With the one person?
My personal clothing?
Yeah. Wardrobe.
My personal clothing, very basic.
Like someone's wardrobe that you look and you're like, oh my God.
I feel there are many like cool, like I like how Ranbir Kapoor dresses up in personal life. I think that is very inspiring. Yeah.
Okay, so you like to swap with him?
I buy very basic clothes. People think I'm a writer. Nobody calls me costume designer actually.
Yeah, I'm a writer, but nobody thinks I'm a writer. Okay, so weird costume requirement you have ever received?
From a male actor saying that, can you add a little more volume on my bum? Get me some bum pads. Or like, to give the little shaping on the bum. Like,
Which film?
How did I name that film?
Okay. A director you would like to work with? You haven't worked till now?
I've worked in Mani Ratnam. Like, I would love to work with Mani Ratnam. Mani Ratnam G. And then I would love to work again with Amar Kaushik, with Nikhil Advani.
Amar Kaushik is Stree.
Amar Kaushik, like all his films so far, from Stree to like Bala to Bhedia, like even like Stree 2, I've worked with him like since, so I would still love to continue working with him.
So an actor you would like to design costume for?
Amitabh Bachchan and Vidya Balan.
You have never done that?
No.
For
not yet. I was very close to work with both the actors, but didn't shape up.
Okay. So an advice for someone who wants to be in a costume designing and if want to be a part of the films, like what would be your advice to them?
I will only advise one thing, that nothing what you see on the screen and what you think of the profession, how people look or how people behave, is all about glamour and is all about like being in like cool, happy, happening industry. Nothing of that sort happens in the costume department. We are the most labor department. We are working like laborers every day. We are sometimes working from like 4 in the morning till like 1 in the night, and we only go at home for like 2 hours, and we just go to look good. We come back, we are the only department which tends to look fresh and good, because we have to interact with actors. So we try to see to that we look neat and tidy. Otherwise, we are the most hardworking, laborious department you can ever come across in the film industry. Yeah, because you're just working. We're only working for getting things approved. We're only working on getting things in order to the changing version or the changing vision of the director. So it's a constant process.
Okay, so my last question is, like, let's suppose there is a film that is made in a budget of 50 crore. So how much percentage do costume designers get?
costume designers. If you call the budget, that's a different thing. But if you call like a fee, we are like maybe 0.001% or something, which is like very, very, very less, or maybe like neglected also sometimes.
So how is it going to inspire more people to come into costume designing? Like, is there
I'm saying, so,
any perk of the job that you think that people should look up to?
I personally feel that, of course, it's a part of the industry where you are there, you're working and you're doing films and you're getting like, different projects to work on. But at the same time, what stays with you is your credit, which will stay with you forever. Like, like how I feel that, when you're working as a costume designer or any department, you go into archives. So even like 40 years, 50 years from now, whether I'm there, not there, or my teams are there, not there, you can still go into those archives and look for who is the costume designer for this film. And like,
okay, that's something that's there in
I
the job.
look upon to, like, that's something which you stay forever, like,
That's the motivation that you have for the job.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all we had for you. Thank you so much for coming to the show. And I hope the audience who would be watching this, they have got enough understanding of costume department and how it helps in shaping the narrative of a film.
Yeah, so that's
the objective.
Yeah, but it can also go into part 2 if you want to.
Definitely, I would love to have a part 2 because right now, because of the time constraint, we have to end it here.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that.